This is We Are Trying, the Playful Parenting Podcast. Welcome to We Are Trying, the Playful Parenting Podcast. I'm Dan, and with me is Miss Amy Dunton, and we are here to wade through the trials and tribulations and triumphs that come with the ever-changing life that is parenting. Amy, how are you doing today?
Fantastic, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing great. Amy, dare I ask, how's your sleep been? Have you been getting sleep? Good day today?
Well, since I got used to my bedtime routine, much easier road.
And routines are important, especially when it comes to bedtime, which is our topic for today. Do you see that? That was what I call.
Yeah, see what you did there. Nice segue.
Like butter. That's like whipped butter, not like the hard chunky butter, because that's not very smooth. So speaking of bedtime, speaking of trials and tribulations, I'd say especially early on as a parent, bedtimes is one of the fears you have when you're pregnant. Like, oh my God, is my child ever going to sleep? Am I ever going to sleep? How is this going to play out? It plays such a huge factor in the early stages of life. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Amy?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah. On that note, how are your kids doing today? Are they still struggling with sleep?
Yeah. So let me see. My 15-year-old, and for those of you playing at home who might not recall, my almost 21-year-old.
Oh, dang!
I think they're well adjusted to their bedtime routines now. I would say consists of video games for a certain period of time before bed,
right.
and then who knows what on TV. And I can't imagine that they're going through the normal 4 story books and then a cup of water like we used to do. But they seem to be well adjusted.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad they're getting sleep. I'm glad you're getting sleep. Those are very important things.
Absolutely.
As far as when they were younger, did you get a chance to sleep back then?
So Jackson is my oldest, and I will say with him, it was kind of smooth sailing. I realize people might be throwing things at their computer or radio, however they're listening to this.
Oh, Amy, I haven't started talking yet. Nothing's getting thrown.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So it was kind of smooth sailing, and I was like, I don't know what everybody's making the big deal about. That being said, fast forward a few years when my second one came along, not the same story at all.
No, not so much.
There were evenings when I was certain I would not sleep again, ever. And I don't know how I was functioning. It was very minimal functioning through the day during those times.
So on average, let's say worst week possible, like that I feel like that answers my question.
I think that's enough said.
So just nothing.
I mean, you're talking like number of hours per night that I got to sleep,
give or take.
Okay.
And I mean, I get it. And so this is one of the struggles, like especially newborn, whether you're breastfeeding or doing it like bottle, like you're up every 3 hours minimum.
Easily, if not more. I mean, it's not an exaggeration to say that during the roughest period, I was not getting like 2 hours consecutively at any point. There's no doubt about that. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that's not within the window that they recommend.
No. And what's worse, I feel like for you, because I knock on wood, sorry for everybody that had troubles. So I actually had the hardest one first, and the hardest one was also easy. So we had our expectations set here, and then my daughter comes along and it's like, no. Let me make it easier for you. And you're like, all right, cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna argue with that. So you had the opposite where you're like, oh, okay, so this is the bar, because it's regardless of if it's easy or not, it still takes a hit in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was just like, oh no, this is the nightmare people talk about.
Right. Yeah, no, I think I would have preferred it the way you had it, honestly. Yeah.
Where both kids are sleeping through the night pretty quickly.
Yeah. Can I vote for that one?
I mean, if I could pass that on to literally anybody and everybody having a kid, I would. I got lucky. My wife got lucky. We understand that. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna talk about the early stages there. Just wait till we get to the 3-year-olds because that's where my stories kick in.
Oh, so great. I can't wait.
Yeah, but I mean, I think one of the biggest things that helped for us, and it was easier for me than my wife because I can sleep through, a fire if our house got caught on it, like I can sleep through anything. My poor wife. But what we tried to do early on is set expectations for our kids, get them to understand, hey, from this time until this time, it's bedtime. And we went through all the books, all the Google searches on like what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it. Let them cry it out. We tried that. And for the most part, it worked. Now, you obviously need to still kind of check on them. We had baby monitors. We're making sure that like nothing's happening to them.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're okay, we know we fed them enough. We kind of spread it out through increments, and it got them sleeping through the night faster. And even to this day, it's like, look, this is bedtime. Go to bed at this time. Waking up was a different story, and I can get to that later. But like setting those expectations with your kids, setting those parameters, again, rules, regulations, parameters, that's kind of how we run things here. And for the most part, it worked. How were you able to kind of start easing into it, or was it not until Isaac was probably, I don't know, what, 10? Is that is that when it worked out? Like 5 years ago?
We must have talked about this before.
Yeah.
No, so I will say with Jackson, like it was definitely, if I remember correctly, the cry it out method is what was like magic for us.
Yeah.
We weren't big fans of it at first. I think just being new parents, we were hesitant and nervous about
it's tough, and it breaks your heart.
Oh my gosh, we're not caring for them. We're not in there, and it was hard. But I will say the very first time we did it, slept through the night. Really? And I was like, what just happened? I could not believe the success that we had. Again, this was with Jackson, and this was I want to say like week 2 or 3. We finally tried it, and even prior to that, I don't remember.
Like he was 3 weeks old.
Awful. Yeah.
Wow.
3 weeks old, and it was just like, okay, we're gonna give this a shot. We did not, again, we had the monitors and stuff like that, and when we didn't go in, and it really wasn't even that long, and I was like, why were we putting this for so long? It was amazing. And then along came Isaac, and he wasn't having it. He was not a fan of the cry it out method, and he didn't sleep. There was no, so we had to try everything else in the book at that point.
Oh man! So what finally worked? Or was it just one magical day? You're like, I'm sorry, there's no noise. Something must have happened to him.
Right. Well, actually, it's not far from the truth. So what would happen, because it would just be utter exhaustion is finally what would, but that took a very long time to get to that point.
Right.
Because of course, as they get more and more worked up, they can't, at that point, in many cases, if it's really, really intense, they can't calm themselves. They can't, or they can't be soothed. Like, it takes a long time. No, I'm not saying can't, but it takes a much longer time. And it was just like, I don't know that there was one particular method with him that finally clicked.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just over time we were able to sort of like, I think he fell more into a routine, where he's like, okay, I know what's happening. They're going to get ready to put me to bed right now. I'm going to have to sleep, but I will be able to get up in the morning.
Right.
So, but it was a long journey to get to that point. That's for sure. And not a fun one.
Well, you mentioned, that I wouldn't say it usually is fun, especially in the beginning.
No. Yeah. And I was going to say, like, when you have 2 kids in the house, it's doubled, because then when you have a screaming child, it's not just the screaming child that you're focused on. That could be a domino effect. And pretty soon you could have 2 screaming children.
Yeah.
And that's also not so fun.
I know what we did for a little bit. Once we were able to kind of get over that hump, we would put one to bed first.
Mm-hmm.
And that was usually the younger one who screamed a little bit more, didn't get the process. And once they were out, then we put the other one, and they would do their scream session. It was lovely. But we got lucky again. The kids sleep like I do. When they're out, they're out.
Wow.
So the screaming, the crying didn't wake them. You wait a good, it depends on how they are that day, but like 15, 30 minutes. And then we lived in a small house for a long time. Like every room was so close. The walls were thin, but we'd be able to put like a movie on, have friends over, whatever afterwards, not have to worry about them waking up once they were out.
Wow. Oh,
or they were awake, just quietly listening, be like, what are the parents doing?
Oh my gosh.
I really hope they wouldn't do that, because now that image is ingrained in my head. It absolutely terrifying. So fingers crossed.
That sounds creepy, Dan.
Right? That's what I was saying. But I mean, so those were the kind of like the good stories. Like they fell asleep really well for us. And then, I mean, once you get over that hump, then I mean, there's still like the potty training hump, but that's a whole nother story.
Yes.
But then they just, like, if you can get them to a point where they're able to sleep through the night, that's huge. And whether it's crying out, setting like rules and regulations, like making sure that they have a routine. If they have a routine, then their body will get acclimated and adjusted to that. I knew a couple people, one in particular, that they didn't have a routine for the kids for the longest time. And they just, years went by without them having like a set schedule and not being able to sleep through the night. And, I felt for them, because that's rough. I mean, can you imagine those? Like, I don't necessarily know how long Isaac took. Like, it could have been years. But like, that's just, you got to step in as soon as you can. And at least that's what worked for us. Every kid is different. Some kids that won't necessarily work for. So we're not saying this is the golden rule, but based on what I've seen with my friends, my family, like that is setting those rules and guidelines, setting a schedule and a routine. That's where you're going to get a lot of those good feelings, those good night sleeps. I mean, but that's the same thing with adults, right?
Sure.
They even say that if you're having trouble sleeping as an individual, setting a routine for your body to understand and acclimate, be like, oh, it's time to start shutting down.
Yeah.
Everybody's body runs on a routine at some point in time.
Yeah. And we're all, I think for the most part, most of us are creatures of habit. So it's like, once we create that routine that we're repeating over and over again, it does become easier to sort of follow that. And then your body sort of knows what to expect. I think it's the same thing, for people who work out early in the morning. Like at some point your body acclimates to that and they know, oh, I know what's coming, and it's easier to wake up, where other people, it's like, no way am I getting up at the crack of dawn to run a few miles.
I don't know what you're talking about, Amy. I feel like that was sending a message out to the universe.
No, just people, people in general. I will say though that one thing that we had to sort of meet Isaac in the middle on is we would stick to the routine. He did not always stick to the routine, meaning, so like, there were plenty of times, especially when he got old enough to get himself out of the crib,
Right.
which I felt was very early on.
You weren't ready? You weren't ready for that?
I was not ready. And I had to like look at the camera to see how he was doing it. But he often would get out of his crib and then he would finally fall asleep and give up in front of his door. So we would like try to go in and it's like, what is in front of the door? And I'm I'm gonna have to just push him. Oh yeah, it was. I think the things that parents have to do, I'm just like, okay, well, he did fall asleep. He followed the routine eventually.
So did you guys put him back in bed, or was this you waited till morning and just let him sleep?
Well, when I realized he was doing it, I tried both. I tried putting him back in bed, but a lot of times any movement for him, he would wake up.
Oh,
he was not like your kids that could sleep through a train coming through. He was a light sleeper. And so it was just, it was like any noise his brother would make, I'm just like, oh my God, and it was a lot of walking on eggshells for him.
That's crazy.
But eventually.
Eventually, he got the hang of it. It's really interesting that you bring that up because like as the kids get older, obviously your routines change.
Sure.
My daughter doesn't necessarily care for routine. Once we tell her it's bedtime, she'll be like, okay, tell me what to do and I'll go to bed. She's very, you've met her. She's very go with the flow. She's the chill child. Whereas my son, if one thing is out of order or out of place, it's not good.
He lets you know.
Let's just say that. Yeah, no, he does let us know. I'll be like,
yeah, I have no
hey,
doubt.
buddy, go brush your teeth. Your sister's in the bathroom. He's like, no, I have to go to the bathroom first.
Yeah,
I'm going to go to the bathroom first. And so we've gotten to the point. It's like, go to that bathroom. Your sister's in this bathroom, and then we'll brush our teeth.
Yeah,
it's a process.
Yeah, yep, gotta have some give and take in there.
Oh, of course.
But I do strongly agree that I think the timing and routine can be absolutely a make it or break it plan, especially when they're that little.
Now, does that consistently grow? Like I said, because I'm still going through routines with the kids, making sure that they understand A, B, C. It sounds like your kids do still have a routine, what have you. My wife and I like to watch a TV show or a movie before we go to bed.
Yeah.
So is that something that just continues to evolve and grow as they get older?
I think it evolves.
Create their own.
Yeah, I think it evolves, and like my son and I were talking just the other day about how actually like the phone use right before bed, how it was like, we might want to get an alarm clock instead, and so you can leave your phone downstairs because it was like too easy to just grab it and have it be something that was keeping him up for longer. I think a lot of teens have that kind of issue. Adults, a lot of adults have that issue.
No.
Again, not pointing fingers, right?
No, never, never.
But so it's just like, but really figuring out what works for you. So, and Jackson, he discovered at some point, we both kind of discovered ASMR, which is, I know it's not for everybody. I get it.
I can't do it.
I know. Trust me. The first time I stumbled across it, I thought it was like a creepy underworld thing. I sent it to my girlfriends as a joke, like this girl's whispering about hairbrushes, and then it became a thing.
It's
and
the bristles, Amy. It's the bristles.
Yeah. But then it became a thing where I was like, there's this whole world of ASMR, and we, so now that's part of his routine. It's part of my routine. It's crazy. Am I
allowed to, like, I don't know if ASMR is personal. Am I allowed to ask like what you listen to?
Oh yeah, no, it's fine. So first I have to say what does not work for me.
Okay.
The mouth noises. I can't. Please do not. Mouth noises, eating food, and the hairbrushes just did not.
I'm sorry, Amy. Are they just like me?
Yeah, please. No. Yeah. Not a fan. Not a fan.
Okay.
However,
yes.
The kinds of stuff that the things I guess that do work for me are like really random. I'm trying to think of like crinkle sounds. A lot of times crinkle sounds will work.
Like potato bags, like the potato bag chips.
No,
Like
no, that's too harsh. That's too harsh.
There's
Something
a soft
subtle,
crinkle.
like a more subtle, like bubble wrap without actually popping it, but just like lightly. For some reason,
Huh.
I don't know. It's just yeah.
I mean, I guess it's a similar concept as like listening to waves or rain.
Yeah, which also works for me.
It's just normal everyday noises.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. I mean, I get it. I can't, like, I mean, I guess if it's other noises besides people talking, maybe that would work. But like if it was just somebody in my ears just being like, this is the handle of a brush.
Actually, that wasn't bad.
Bristles. Watch it comb through my hair.
Oh my!
It just sounds so weird. I feel creepy
I think
doing
you've
it.
got.
Sorry, listeners. I understand. Thank you for all that have stayed on listening through that, and that did not just automatically jump off. I can promise you that, especially in this episode, I will not do that again. That is a solemn promise. If we have an episode on ASMR, obviously I cannot promise anything there, but we will cross that bridge when we get there. So moving on, let's move on. We've talked about some of the good, the bad. I will say, and I don't know if things elevated for you as well, Amy, but like I said at the very beginning, my kids, they were great. I firmly believe that there is some sort of evil switch within children as soon as they turn 3. It is at least it happened to my kids, both of them, one more so than the other. And might I tell you that it was so weird because it affected him like throughout the entire day, but bedtime was the absolute worst. It became a battle, Amy. It became a battle. And I think this is actually going to lead us to our next segment. What's your limit? So let's talk about limits here because this is around the time that I discovered true love. Not the love you have for your partners, not the love you have for your family, but true, unadulterated love, passion, like the quintessential love. And that is knowing full well that you could pick up your child and throw them across the room through a window without breaking a sweat, but you don't because you love them.
Right.
That
is. No, I'm glad that you held on to that. I'm glad you held on to that.
I will never forget that feeling because at that moment I'm like, as I'm holding him so tight, so tight.
Sure.
He knows how much I love him.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's what that was.
But inside, the rage is just boiling.
Oh yeah. Oh no, lots of rage. So we would, like I said, we set up routines. We'd give them, hey, this much time until bedtime. It was a flexible time, but it was called 5 minutes until bedtime. They have no sense of time. 5 minutes could be 3 minutes. It could be 30 minutes if they're being good.
Yes.
Who knows? So we do that, and then we do our bedtime routine. And when my son was 3, we would put him in his bedroom after him kicking and screaming because he doesn't want to go to bed. And we'd set him down after we calm him down. It's like, okay, it's time for bed now. And he would look at us dead in the eye, just get this grin on his face. The game had begun, Amy.
Oh, wow.
And it was a nightmare. He would, kick the walls. He would run out of his bedroom because he could.
Yeah.
And it was a battle. Like my wife and I have said this. If he had turned 3 and we had experienced that before we had our daughter, he would be an only child. This is coming from a couple that originally were like, hey, we want like 5 kids. No, only child. If we had have experienced that prior to having his sister.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing you can really do besides like you have to like try and keep your composure? Okay, that doesn't work. Do I show anger? Do I put the fear of God in him?
Yeah.
I tried that, and he's
Yeah.
just laughing as I'm doing it, and it just makes me
that's
so angry.
priceless. Yeah, no, that was Isaac. Isaac was the laugher, and I had never seen it. So I was just so taken aback. Like if I had ever laughed at my mom when she was scolding me or telling me to go to bed, I don't know that I'd be here today, Dan. So I definitely, there's few things more unnerving and rage-inducing than having the small person that you've created laugh in your face when you're trying to be serious with them. Oh yeah. Nope. So I feel that.
Yeah. No, I mean, 100%. That was like, we really started pushing like true timeouts. Like we brought his like a little high chair up to another, like, cause this was, I don't know. Yes. I'm trying to figure out where I was.
Went to great lengths.
I'm like, was I in my second home? Was this in my first home? Time is a construct, and COVID destroyed all of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we would take it up to a different room, and we'd be like, look, this room he needed his night lights. I was like, there were times I was like, no nightlight, pitch dark, you're locked in here. What are you gonna do? And like he starts panicking. I'm like, I set a timer. I'm like, okay,
right.
Let him get him out of his system. Do that. He's like, I'm sorry, Daddy. I'm like, it's okay. We just got to make sure that you go to bed. And this is like, if the actions have consequences, something that we relay every day. Actions have consequences. If you do good, you get rewards. If you do bad, you can get punished. These are things that could happen. And he says, sorry, I'm sorry. It's okay. Give him a hug. You're not going to do it again. No. Walk back. Okay, good night, Leo. Smile.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Yeah.
And then he turned 4 and gone.
Wow.
No problem.
That's amazing.
It was the weirdest thing. But I mean, that like, I like to think, and Amy, you know me, I am a very, very like understanding individual. I have a very long patience, and man, did he break me during bedtime routines.
Yeah, and they have a certain power with that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's my limit though. Like, you know, we talk about our limits, and it's the smile, and more so the laugh. The smile was the beginning of the game. The laugh was when he knew he won. Right.
Yeah, because when they can see that your frustration has reached a level where it's like they know that you don't know what you're doing anymore. It's not a fun place to be. And at that point, it's kind of like checkmate. Because, you know, it's like initially parents are so excited for those first steps. But then when they're just fully mobile on their own, and like you said, like the timeout chair, unless there was a seat belt on it.
There was. 100%.
For you,
it was one of those.
I did not. Yeah, I did.
Buckled up. It was a high chair. It was for like eating. Oh, he was buckled in.
Yeah, straight jacket.
I mean,
I looked for one. I couldn't find one. We're gonna just put the jacket on him backwards, zip it up. You know,
he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
We're here for tips for parents. But
we never said we were the best parents.
Right.
We're just here to give our friendly advice.
Please read the title again.
We're having fun here, guys.
But yeah, I know that it was mostly with Isaac that I can recall just the frustration. And for me, I think it was more the add-on stage. So initially it would be like, we'll read 2 books and he'll have his little drink of water and bedtime. Then it would become like, well, can we play a quick game, and then 2 books, and then water, and then bedtime. And then maybe 3 books. And then, you know, and it was just all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm not sure who's making this routine anymore. So again, we're going to shorten this time frame because like you said, without any concept of time, they don't care if that process lasts 2 hours, you know, or the 20 minutes that I would prefer it take.
Right.
That was rare. That was rare. So you said once Leo hit 4, it was like a switch and good to go.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, it was speckled here and there, but yeah, no, 4 was fine. And then even Delilah's 3, my wife and I chuckled at because she would throw like a little tantrum, but she'd stay in her room and we just laughed and I'm like, this is nothing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I think it lasted a little longer. I think it was probably closer to 5, I would say. Long 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so how far did he push you, Amy?
Oh, what was my limit? Jeez. I mean, I think for me it was the length of time. Like when the time just extended into, I'm not kidding about the 2-hour thing. That for me was just like, I mean, because I knew that in a matter of hours, I was going to be up doing this all again. You know, that it was going to be this very short window of time and be right back at it. So that for me was when it was just kind of like, okay, we're just, you know, I had to just start taking stuff away. You know, it was.
How did he react to the break in routine? Because once you built up the routine.
Right. I think that once he understood that the change in routine was due to his behavior, that was a little bit easier to transition into. If I had just been like, this is what we're doing and this is what we've been doing all along, and then all of a sudden changed it, I think it would have been more confusing for him. Like, well, what do you mean? This isn't what our plan was.
Right.
But then when I could explain, like, well, we were going to do the 2 books, but because you had this tantrum, we're now only going to have time for 1, you know, and then it was just kind of like, oh, you know, but there was that realization.
Right.
But I definitely struggled with any kind of timeout with him. And I don't know how your kids were with napping, but neither of my kids napped.
No, they stopped napping. It actually caused a bit of a problem at their daycare because Leo was like the only kid that he didn't want to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, I'm up. Can we do stuff? And like Delilah, she'll take a nap, I'd say once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
But no, they stopped napping like when they were 2.
Yeah. That's funny because a lot of like pre-K, kindergarten, daycares, they do have that set time in the day where it's like across the board nap time. And I'll tell you what, they have my utmost respect. When I have walked into any of those scenarios, Isaac used to go to Montessori school. We'd walk in, every kid is like quiet, sleeping. And I'm like,
it's wizardry, Amy. Wizardry.
I know, that's what I called it.
But I feel like it's the same thing like when the kids are near somebody else or with somebody else, or like, you know, because you always think that they're beautiful angels. They tend to act differently in front of other individuals.
Oh, sure.
So I mean, there's always that factor as well. But I mean,
yeah, no doubt.
Leo didn't care about that, and we'll talk about daycares and authority figures in another episode as well, because he put them through the ringer. Good times. Well, that's it for us today. We hope you guys got some little nuggets of information. Hopefully you guys are able to sleep if you guys are any new parents out there, or if your kids are still not sleeping through the night, try a couple of our tricks, and hopefully they will not push you past your limits. Next week we will be talking about electronics and how plugged in are you or your kids. Thank you, everybody. I'm Dan Keeper with Amy Dunton. Have a wonderful day or night, depending on when you're listening to this. I have no idea.
Sweet dreams, guys.